Good morning. So nice to see you on this very hot day. That's kind of the operative word in the summertime here in the Tennessee Valley. But if you are watching this morning and you are a woman, we're going to kind of play a little fun with words this morning because Lauren Barlow is here from Lotus Center for Women. And hot is one of the things we're talking about, hot flashes.
Yes.
You have had an influx of women coming to you with perimenopause and menopausal questions. They know that they're not happy with the way their life is, but conventional doctors are saying, oh, nothing wrong with you, but you shouldn't have to live this way. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. We have a lot of patients that come in who, have been to the regular providers and are told that since they're having regular periods and they're too young to be in perimenopause, for example, or they have their labs drawn and those are often normal, and so they're told that everything's fine. Often offered birth control pills to help with their symptoms, but we know that in perimenopause it is normal for your labs to be normal, and so anybody really in their mid-40s and up, we consider perimenopausal, and a lot of times they respond really nicely.
Okay, so let's kind of break this down, and then we'll just talk to women on the set. So first of all, at Lotus Center for Women, what you do is totally focus on really a pretty holistic approach, right?
That's right, yes.
To helping women,
Yes.
really at all stages of life, but this section, which can span, what, 15, 20 years?
Well, yeah,
Or
longer.
longer.
So the average age of menopause is 51. Perimenopause is 5 to 7 years before that, maybe 10, depending on the woman. So we're really looking at 40 and beyond is our main patient age.
So here's where I think God can be kind of cruel. Because in your 40s, if you have kids, that's when your kids are also running here and there, practices, proms, all of it, which can lead to a lack of sleep with worry, mood swings, all the things that can kind of go with perimenopause. So it's hard sometimes to identify what's the root problem.
Yeah, sometimes it is really hard to know what is what, and so I think the biggest thing is identifying what life was like before and what life is like now, and kind of take away the extra pieces of like motherhood and taking care of all the other things. Really, perimenopausal symptoms, one that really stands out to me is women waking up at 3 a.m. I hear that time all day long, 3 a.m. and they're up for an hour or two and can't get back to sleep. Finally, by the time that they fall back asleep, then their alarm goes off.
Clock's going off. Yes.
They're exhausted. So.
Yes. Hot flashes often accompany that. That's often what wakes you up.
So it does often wake women up, but also in questioning them, it sometimes is just like their brain just turns on. Yeah. So they're like, I'm really not hot when I'm waking up. Some of them are, but some of them it's just like this like on switch.
Right. Do the hot flashes, if we're going to talk about that for a minute, do they tend to be worse at night, or are they worse in stressful situations?
They tend to be, in perimenopause, they tend to be worse at night, and then often will be exacerbated by stress or anxiety, or sometimes some alcohol consumption will bring them on as well, spicy food, that kind of thing. But even eliminating those factors oftentimes does not get rid of the symptoms.
And we all have different results from it. I mean, some women, the hot flashes are such a problem, it interferes with daily living. For some women, it's a pretty simple, short-lived time. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, there's a wide variety of how women experience menopause. I like to remind my patients that menopause is more than hot flashes, though. The deterioration in our estrogen levels can wreak havoc on our bone health, brain health, heart health, and mental health. So, while there are a lot of women that go through and don't have significant vasomotor symptoms or heat symptoms, they're still having other impacts on their health.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because sometimes it is a little bit subtle. So on the mood swings, for example, you might not feel it, but your family might feel it, like that Raymond episode. Y'all ever see that one? So you like to educate. I know you have a class coming up in August.
Yes.
The last one you did on menopause was a sellout.
Yes.
So do women have a chance to ask questions when they're there of you?
Yes, there's lots of time for question and answers. I find that this is like the wild, wild west. Menopause is, luckily it's well talked about, or very much talked about now, but these women are still coming in with tons of questions, and really I think they feel a lot of support in a class environment where they can get kind of compare notes.
Yeah.
Then they don't feel like they're so isolated and alone.
Do women, are they kind of embracing the idea now that this is natural?
Yeah, so it is of course natural in a normal stage of life, but I think what they're embracing more so is that they have a lot of life to live. So if they go through menopause at 51, for example, they have 30, 40 years of life to live, and they're not willing to deal with the effects of it.
So at Lotus Center, when a woman comes to you, I guess it all begins first with you hearing what her day-to-day life is like, what's bothering her most.
Yes.
And then if it is, how do you get to the bottom of it? Do you do your own blood work?
We do, yes. We have a lab on site and we do labs. That's part of the evaluation. But when they come in, they fill out a pretty in-depth questionnaire as far as all of the perimenopause symptoms that often they aren't even aware that, for example, joint pain may be a symptom of perimenopause. So we go through that whole list and dissect it all out, and then if we need labs, then we have that available and come up with a treatment plan for them.
Is exercise something that's beneficial in offsetting any of this?
There's been a lot of studies as to what supplemental things can be helpful. Of course, exercise and healthy eating are definitely integral to our overall health. It hasn't been shown specifically to address the heat symptoms, although naturally it's going to help reduce anxiety and help with mood. And
my thought was really going when you mentioned the deterioration of your bones, that strength training is probably really important.
Yes, everybody's lifting weights these days, which is the word is out.
At Lotus Center, do you tend to be more of kind of a woman's sanctuary, or do you often have, husbands come with their wives?
We mostly see women on their own. Sometimes it's not uncommon that on the second visit, then they'll bring their husbands. I feel like they feel more comfortable just speaking
Opening
to
up.
women and opening up, and then a lot of times they'll bring them secondary to that. But we, of course, we welcome anybody who's there to support her.
When is the class in August? Do you have a date yet?
Yeah, it's August 24th.
Okay.
It's a Saturday morning from 10 to 12.
Well, I would highly encourage it. For one thing, even if you don't want to be the one asking questions, you can just safely sit back and listen to everybody else. But by the time you leave, you might be the most vocal one in the room. Who knows? And you're doing it there at Lotus.
Yes, we're doing it at Lotus.
So think about that. We don't have to live with all of this stuff and not get help and answers and knowledge. That's power.
Right. It's empowering. Absolutely.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
LotusCenterForWomen.com. There was the phone number, 654-8900. Go ahead and sign up for that class on August 24th. Thanks again.
Have you been injured due to someone else's negligence? Insurance companies have their experts trained to politely minimize your injuries and circumstances. With us, you'll have someone fighting for your rights. Wedemark Keith.